Throughout the past few decades, there's been a lot of talk about protecting Mother Earth, the environment in which we live, and the health of humanity in general. For years, environmentalists have debated issues on the disappearing ozone layer, overflowing landfills, and how to rid the environment of hazardous wastes. Different methods have been tried and tested, but they have failed. The problems of waste disposal still existed. Then in 1976, Congress passed the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, or what is commonly referred to as RCRA. This represented the first comprehensive federal effort to address the problems relating to solid waste, specifically hazardous waste. The 1976 RCRA statute generated the familiar language commonly used today as cradle to grave. Cradle to grave implies that any hazardous waste that is produced remains the responsibility of the person or persons producing it throughout the life and final disposition of the waste. Upon final disposition, the hazardous waste is either destroyed or converted to a non-hazardous waste. This format, as established under the 1976 RCRA statute, was expected to solve the problem of solid and hazardous waste disposal. However, by 1984, the public perceived that the hazardous waste management program established by the environmental protection agencies was not moving fast enough, and the EPA's ability to regulate land disposal became questionable. The result? Congress significantly amended RCRA in 1984 with the Hazardous Solid Waste Amendment Act. These new provisions provided the EPA with a specific, rigid time schedule for permitting treatment, storage, and disposal of hazardous waste. Solid wastes that pose a danger to human health and/or the environment are considered hazardous waste. The EPA established a set of criteria to be used to determine if a solid waste is in fact hazardous. These are toxicity and persistence and/or degradability in nature, potential for accumulation in tissue, other related factors such as flammability, corrosiveness, and other hazardous characteristics, presence of constituents identified as carcinogens, mutagens, or teratogens. From this criteria, the EPA developed several categories of listed wastes. F wastes are hazardous waste from non-specific sources such as solvents and still bottoms from solvent wastes. K wastes are hazardous waste from specific sources such as industry-specific wastes. P wastes are discarded commercial chemical products, manufacturing chemical intermediates, or off-specification commercial chemical products, or manufacturing chemical intermediates classed as acute hazardous wastes. And U wastes are discarded commercial chemical products, manufacturing chemicals, intermediates, or off-specification commercial chemical products typically classed as toxic waste. Any person, individual, or corporation whose act or process produces hazardous waste is considered the generator of that hazardous waste. The guidelines for waste disposal apply to all quantity waste generators, be it small quantity generators or large quantity generators. A small quantity generator produces more than 100 kilograms of hazardous waste per month, but less than 1,000 kilograms per month. Small quantity generators are exempted from most provisions of RCRA controls. Further, the quantity of waste accumulated may not exceed 6,000 kilograms. Storage of ignitable or reactive waste must be at least 50 feet from the property line. Storage labels must be labeled hazardous waste. The generator must comply with preparedness and prevention provisions of 40 CFR 265.30 through 265.37. At least one emergency coordinator must be on call, and the name and telephone number of that emergency coordinator must be listed, as well as the telephone number of the fire department. Training for employees in handling of waste in emergency situations must be provided, and in the event of fire, explosion, or release, a report of incident must be provided. A small quantity generator may store hazardous waste for up to 180 days without a permit if the above conditions are met, and these wastes can be stored for 270 days if the waste must be transported 200 miles or more. For large quantity generators, the rules are as follows. If more than 1,000 kilograms or 2,200 pounds of hazardous waste is generated per month, the hazardous waste regulations apply to the waste. In this situation, storage and shipment of hazardous waste must occur in DOT-approved containers. At the time storage of hazardous waste begins, the container must be dated. For large quantity generators, waste may be stored up to 90 days, provided the container is in good condition, compatible with the waste, closed except when adding or removing waste, inspected at least weekly, and placed on an undrained drip pad. Within 90 days, the waste must be shipped and disposed. To ensure the waste is transported and disposed of properly, the containers must be labeled with the proper DOT shipping name, numeric hazard class, DOT identification number, DOT required packaging specification, shipper's name and address, disposal site waste stream approval number, hazardous waste label, and the reportable quantity if the container holds more than the reportable quantity of a hazardous substance. Shipments of hazardous waste from onshore sites must be accompanied by a hazardous waste manifest. The manifest is a multi-part form designed to assure chain of custody of the waste. This helps guarantee that the waste is handled according to RCRA and that the cradle-to-grave concept is implemented and carried out. Perhaps the most important provisions provided in RCRA are the criminal and civil penalties associated with violators of the statute and regulations. Substantial fines beginning at $25,000 a day for willful violations, compounded with jail penalties for felonious activities, act as a significant deterrent. Unfortunately, these enormous fines are more of a deterrent than the negative effects such waste can have on the environment. It is the duty and responsibility of both large and small hazardous waste generators to protect the air we breathe, groundwater, the drinking water sources, the lakes and rivers and streams, and ultimately, human health.
We've shown a variety of workplaces and situations this month. We'd like to remind you that each workplace is different. Be sure to wear the personal protective equipment that's right for your job. For more information about Safety Watch, give us a call at 800-440-0377. From all of us here at Safety Watch, work